Hey, what's going on everyone? Jeremy here with another video, and you all know that I like crypto and I like silver and I like real estate. Today we're going to talk about silver, and more specifically how many ounces it would take to be a millionaire if silver was traded at its fair market value, or what I think its fair market value should be. And we're going to take a look at how I get to that number and how many ounces you'd need. But before we get into it, if you want to follow along in my journey as I build wealth for my family, then subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss a thing. And remember, none of this is financial advice. I'm literally just a guy sitting at a computer talking to a camera. Let's get to it. So right now you can see that the price of silver is $27 an ounce. Gold is $18 an ounce. Up a little bit today. Obviously this is the paper price. Has nothing to do with the physical price. But that means that we have about a 66 and a half 66 to 1 ratio between gold and silver. Now, what I want to talk about today is what is the true ratio of silver? What should the value of silver actually be when you talk about the dollar price? And the first thing I want to talk about, and what a lot of people don't necessarily understand, is that silver is not something that is mined primarily as the primary thing that they go after. You get some silver that comes through gold mining, and most of it though comes from a byproduct of mining copper, lead, and zinc. So that means that most of these mining companies are not going out and mining silver or trying to mine silver. Obviously they collect silver as they are mining these other elements, and that is how silver comes to be. That's basically the first thing that I want you to wrap your mind around. Silver is not mined as the focus for a lot of these mining companies. They do not go after silver. If they were specifically just going after silver, the price to produce silver would be out of the roof. So the second thing that I want to talk about is the ratio of gold to silver in the world. So historically, you can look at this 15 to 1 ratio, this sort of magic number that they say goes back for centuries, thousands of years. But the reality is that right now, the way that these mining companies are producing silver, it's only coming out of the ground at about 8 parts of silver to 1 part of gold globally. So let's look at that number again. Right now we're at 66 to 1. If gold is $17.99, we'll just round up to $1,800. If the historic ratio is 15 to 1, then just by that, if you get to the historic ratio of 15 to 1, silver should be $120 an ounce. It's not. We all know it's not, and we all know why it's not. If you don't know why it's not, I'll give you a hint. Price manipulation. Leave it at that. The next part, let's say that obviously we know that silver is coming out of the ground at 8 to 1. So if we take $1,800 gold price and divide it by 8, that means that the value of silver should be $225 an ounce. Okay, so now this is our theoretical fair value for silver when you compare it to gold. And you can see here, this is the gold and silver mine production ratio. So this is how much silver to gold is produced or has been produced since the 1840s, it looks like. And you can see here it was 30 to 1, then it came down to 4 in the 1860s and jumped up here to, what is that, 26 to 1 in the 1900s, 1890s. Back, you can see how it's done, but ever since like the 40s or so, it's sort of fluctuated in here between 6 to 8.5, 9 to 1 is the ratio. So I would call that the standard ratio now, 8 to 1. Now here's another thing that we want to think about, is how much silver is there in the world. And so typically when we're looking at a fair market value, we're looking at how is it coming out of the ground. But then also it's how much reserves are there in the world? How much is sitting around awaiting to be consumed? And the reality is when you look at gold, gold is primarily an asset that is held to store wealth, store value, hedge against an inflating dollar, which, hey, by the way, we have an inflating dollar. But silver, although it has been used as money probably as long or longer than gold as far as creating silver coins, it's more divisible than gold into smaller increments. It's easier to trade and barter. But just in the last 50 years or so, silver, because it is such a good conductor of electricity, and I want you to do something. If you have any silver, physical silver at home, if you haven't done this, do it. Get some of your silver out and take an ice cube and put an ice cube on your silver coin, silver bar, whatever you might have, and you'll notice that almost immediately that ice cube will start to melt. And it will melt and then it'll stop melting. And the reason that it does that is that silver is such a good conductor that it starts immediately to absorb the coolness from that ice cube into the silver coin or bar, whatever it is, and rapidly gets as cold as the ice cube. I'm talking like within seconds, it will get as cold as the ice cube and can't get colder than the ice cube, so it stops melting it as much. But if you put a stack of coins together where they can conduct all the way down through, you'll see that that ice cube will melt significantly in a very, very short period of time. And that's because silver is an awesome conductor, probably the best conductor that there is out there of any elements. And that's why it is used on circuit boards and cars and solar panels, because it just conducts electricity very, very well. And here's the thing, and why this is important. Gold is basically a store of value. Silver has a store of value. It also has an industrial use. And the next thing, or what we could talk about, there's rumors that there are 3 billion ounces of silver above ground, refined silver in the world. That's speculation. Personally, I believe that's a manipulated number. I don't believe that we have anywhere near that much silver, physical silver, in the world. And because of that, I believe that silver is even rarer than the 8-to-1 that it's coming out of the ground, because gold has been around for centuries and there will always be large deposits of gold all over the world. Silver, that supply and deposit of silver has been consumed, is being consumed for electrical uses, whether it be televisions, cars, solar panels, cell phones. And most of the time when those devices are done with, what happens? They get thrown into the landfill. And as of now, there's not anybody or not a really good way of refining that and getting that silver back out of those components. So that silver is, for all intents and purposes, gone. It's gone. It has been consumed. It will not be used again. And so I believe that the true value of silver is even greater than the $225 8-to-1 value. The next thing that I want to look at is the US debt clock. I don't know if you've seen this website, but it basically, kind of disgusting when you think about what it's doing. It is counting up the US national debt, $28 trillion. That's $80,000 and $84,000 in debt per citizen, $225,000 per taxpayer. It's really disgusting. But I want to show you something over here. This is the dollar to silver ratio based merely on inflation. That is just basically taking what the price of silver was in 1913, which was $2.64. And if you just calculate inflation to today, what is the silver dollar value just based on inflation? And it's $4,807, okay? Now they've done the same thing with gold, and that value is $34,000, 211. So if we take that golden ratio and we say, let's just speculate that gold is not manipulated and the true value of gold with inflation counted is $34,000 per ounce. This is what it should be. All right, so if we just take the gold price before inflation, or after inflation, I guess I should say, 2011, and divide that by that golden ratio of 8-to-1, you can see there that the true value of silver should be somewhere around $4,276 per ounce, which you notice is very close to what it was way back when, 1913 is what this says, before they started messing with the inflation and the value of the dollar. So then the question becomes, okay, how many ounces, if we're talking 4276, how many ounces would I need to be a millionaire if 4276 is the true unmanipulated value of silver? And let's just see. 233, we'll call it 234 ounces. If you had 234 ounces and the price of silver goes to its original, historic, unmanipulated, after inflation value, you need 233 ounces to become a millionaire. All right, so listen, this is clearly all speculation. I just try to analyze the data, look at what's out there, and figure out, all right, if we take out some of the manipulated pieces of the market and the price of silver, then what is the potential? I mean, there's some people that think silver could go way higher than that. And obviously, this is not financial advice. Don't go buy silver just based on this. But I think it's important for everybody to have a little bit of silver in their portfolio. Physical silver, that is, not paper silver. All right, so with that said, I hope you like this video. Like it if you do. Share it with somebody you think might want to watch it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Got another one starting right over here. Go check that out. I'll see you over there.